up to 15 minutes past 7 now.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Jeff Dudas from underwatertimes.com.
Jeff Dudas from Miami, yes, underwatertimes.com, is with us this morning. Hello to you, Jeff.
How you doing, Wammo?
Very, very well. We'll start off with some more Gulf of Mexico oil spill business, particularly some sea turtles, of course, that are threatened there, aren't they?
Yes, and that's just the oil spill is ongoing. No real relief yet, and one of the big worries is all the sea turtles that nest along the areas that the oil is washing up on shore. So they've come up with a plan to relocate all these turtle nests. And so, the turtles have already come on shore, laid their eggs, and are basically sitting on the beach. And the fear is, as these eggs hatch, they'll just go right out in the Gulf and get covered in oil and just instantly die. So the plan is to collect tens of thousands of turtle eggs, with the sand and everything, put them on trucks, have them temperature controlled, and take them to the Atlantic coast of Florida.
Meanwhile, what would happen to the adult turtles?
Well, that's the adult turtles are a whole other story. There was a sort of a related article that came out this week. They said some of these turtles are being burned alive out in the Gulf as they skim the oil. They have these giant nets that are bringing the oil and together, and they light the oil on fire and sort of these controlled burns. But they say some of these turtles are getting caught up in that and burned alive. And there was a big controversy this week with that. So it's just a terrible thing what's going on with the adult turtles. They're washing up on shore too. Some of them are covered in oil, and so they're taking them away and trying to clean them up. But for the ones that have already laid eggs, this is sort of the great hope.
Yeah.
And something like this never tried before. So this is one thing hopefully to learn. There's sort of the risks too. You disturb these eggs, you may kill the eggs. So the scientists are saying, well, this is probably the only chance these turtles will have, at least the babies, is to bring them somewhere far away where they're not going to be hit with oil.
Of course, then the question is, well, once they hatch, where do they go? Because the turtles are kind of programmed to be in a particular place, aren't they?
Yeah, I was sort of thinking about that. That's sort of the question. There's always the turtles. They come back to the beach where they were born. So my guess is they're going to be released from a Florida beach. So I think they program where they're actually emerged from, and so that'll be an interesting question to follow some of these turtles to see if they 10 years down the road, see what beach they come back to.
All right, well, on to something a little bit lighter, perhaps, a fish that likes to wear a moustache, Jeff.
Yes, and this is the male Mexican molly, which has a mustache, and scientists never quite knew why they had this mustache, what was its purpose and such, and so they figured out, they ran a study on these fish. They went and collected a bunch of them and put them in a tank with female fish, and some of them, the male mollies, have mustaches, some of them don't, some of them have big mustaches, some of them are small, and so they wanted to figure out, okay, what's going on here with these mustaches, and so they put them in tanks with female fish, and they showed these female fish videos of male mollies with these mustaches and without, and they figured out at the end of all this that these female fish sort of really dig the mustache.
They're kind of old-fashioned fish.
Yeah, so they really like a mustache, and the bigger the better and such. So they figured that out. And they also figured out that, they only tested for the visual. They only showed them, they were separated so they only could see it from a distance. And but they also noticed in nature that there's perhaps a second function of this mustache where when they get ready to mate, the male comes up behind the female and kind of rubs his mustache on her. And evidently they really dig that too. So they think there's perhaps a couple things going on here with these mustaches. You're a big advantage if you're a male Mexican molly with a big old mustache. You're gonna do all right.
That's one sexy fish, Jeff.
Right. So the other fish have these sort of mustaches, but they've never been studied before. So they're going to go out and look at other fish to see if this sort of mustache trait does them well.
Well, finally, Jeff, you're a bit of a keen diver, aren't you?
Yep.
Do you like drinking and diving?
They tell you not to do it, but evidently in Italy, they've come up with sort of a turn on this. This is in northern Italy. There's a winemaker decided to actually store their wine underwater, actually 200 feet deep. They've put down, I think 6,000 bottles have been sitting down under the cool water, and they think actually there may be something to this because there's sort of a gentle rocking motion and the temperature changes with the water. And so they left it down there for a year, and they just pulled up all this wine, and they started popping the corks. They said it's really good. This one guy said it was really fruity and had a distinctive flavor. So maybe they're on to something. They got this idea for this. It sort of sounds like a strange idea, but they actually pulled up some wine from a ship that had been sitting down for more than a decade, a ship that had sunk, and they popped the cork, and they said it tasted pretty good. So that's where they got the idea.
Well, there you go.
They're going to continue to do this.
Because I know I've got no discipline when it comes to cellaring wine. Buy a bottle of wine and then it's gone that weekend.
I'm there with you. So
chuck it under the water.
And let it sit for a year. And imagine if someone else went down there, and I guess they protect it somehow. But.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks very much, Jeff.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Cool. Those stories you'll find at underwatertimes.com. There's a whole lot more there as well.